Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Father Bennett from St. Stephen, and we are continuing our series, Do You Know? And so today I want to introduce you to Brother Ben. Brother Ben, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hey guys. So I'm Brother Ben Keller. I'm from the parish. Grew up right in Anoka. We grew up right in Anoka originally, and then moved to Andover around second grade. But went through St. Stephen's elementary and middle school, and yeah, you probably either know or have seen my family. We usually sit like if you're looking from the altar up, we sit kind of in the top right, middle of that section normally. But yeah, so I went to college at Minnesota State University in Mankato after high school, and then when I was there, I really kind of fell deeper in love with my faith and with the Lord. And then I spent a year as a focused missionary. Some of you might remember I spoke after Mass one of the days, just asking for if anybody wanted to talk more about focus and about supporting me at that time. And then after a year of that, I joined the Dominicans, and now I'm gonna be ordained ordained a deacon on, what's the date? The 16th.
And so when did you enter the order? What
So
year
I
was that?
entered the order a year. So I spent 1 year as a focused missionary after college. I was up at the University of Mary, and yeah, that year God really made it clear to me that it was the Dominicans, and because I was looking at a couple of different religious orders, and so I went for it.
Mhm. And how long has your formation been?
Our formation total is 7 years. So we have a year novitiate, which we do out in Denver, Colorado, and that's more of kind of a spirituality year, like really getting into the rhythm of the life. So it's focused on the prayer schedule, on kind of living community life, and then a little bit of kind of ministry related things, and a little bit of like one-time classes to try to get everybody kind of on the same page. Because then, so after that 1 year, so 1 year novitiate, then we have kind of 6 years of formation, most of that in St. Louis. So we do 2 years here in St. Louis studying, and then we do a pastoral year somewhere in the province at one of our ministry centers or places where we have men, and then we come back for 3 more years. So I'm in my fifth just finishing up the fifth of that 6 years. And then, so I have 1 more year of school, and then I'll be ordained a priest next May.
Great, great. Now, you said that you received your call when you were a missionary, focused missionary at University of Mary. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so that's when I decided to actually enter the Dominicans, but I would say it was definitely earlier than that. So it was the middle of my junior year. We were at Mass one Sunday night, and Father Tim, who just absolutely wonderful man, down in the Winona Diocese, he was preaching, and he preached about vocations a lot and things like that. But this night, he said in his homily somewhere, maybe you're called to be a priest. Just kind of a general statement that he probably said every other week, or, so it's not something that was new. But that 1 week, it stuck, and I couldn't get it out of my head. And so eventually I was like, okay, I guess I have to go talk to him. I can't just keep putting this aside. Because people had asked me before that, my freshman year of college, I started getting really more involved in my faith. I went to a focus conference, and it was like, whoa, like, Jesus is real, right? Like, we had growing up, so just keep stepping back here, growing up, my family is awesome. But like, we would pray together before we went to bed every night. We went to Mass every week, no matter where we were, no matter how many baseball, football, volleyball games, softball games we had, we always made it to Mass. And, so that discipline, the importance of faith was really big. And then in college, it finally, for me, it really clicked. Like I was at this focus conference, sitting in adoration with, 2,000-3,000 other kids. And it was like, this is real, right? Like this is actually Jesus, and he wants to be, he wants to be a part of my life in a personal way. And so then going back, so that was kind of freshman year of college, I started getting involved, started leading some Bible studies and, doing different things like that. So kind of sophomore, junior year, people would ask me, oh, you're thinking of being a priest? I'm like, no, like I want to go, have a family. I want to coach my kids. I want to, all that kind of stuff. And so then, this we get back to middle of my junior year, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I maybe have to go talk to Father Tim about this. Just try to get it out of my head. I was dating someone at the time, but so I went and I talked to him, and he gave me this book. It was To Save 1,000 Souls, which is a book all about discerning diocesan priesthood. And so I started reading it and diving in, and there's a prayer in there. It's right at the end of the 3rd chapter. It's, God, I want what you want. Even if I don't want it right now, even if I'm afraid right now, I want it. Help me to want to be what you want me to be. So I started praying that prayer every night, right? And within probably 6 months or so, my heart just did a complete 180. Like I went from being at the point where it's like, God might want me to be a priest, that scares the heck out of me, to, all right, Lord, if you're calling me, I'm in. So this is kind of the middle, probably we're getting into the summer of between junior and senior year. And that summer I ran into the Dominicans. I was doing some research down at the University of Missouri for the summer. And we had the Newman Center down there. And so I met the Dominicans, and I was like, oh, like it's a group of, priests and brothers that live together, pray together, work together. Like, I like that. To me, it's like, that's kind of like a sports team, and I had been playing sports all the way through. And sports was a huge part of my life growing up, and just, being a part of a team. And it's like, oh, I like that model of religious life, which is kind of this group that's living together, supporting each other. And that's really striving to preach the gospel together. And so then I was like, oh, so religious life is a really cool thing. I think God might be calling you there. But at that point, we're going into my senior year, and I had a whole bunch of things going on that year. So it's like, okay, I've been doing focus stuff on campus. I'm just going to be a missionary. It'll give me 2 years. I'll be able to figure that out. And then, after 2 years, I can figure out where I'm going. And then it was my first year as a missionary. I did a retreat, come and see weekend here, and then one out here as in St. Louis with the Dominicans, and then one out at Notre Dame with Congregation of Holy Cross. And when I was here, like God he made it really clear. It felt right. It was just there's something in it. I was like, okay, I think this is right in some ways. And then, I went out to Notre Dame for their come and see, and it was like, okay, this is good, but it's not quite me. And at that point, I jumped on it, and I joined the Dominicans.
Great. So a couple of people who were influential on you in your faith life growing up.
I think my parents are hugely influential. I mean, just to see, watching their discipline, their deep faith. So like growing up, we would pray together as a family every night before we went to bed. And just the way that they carried themselves, the importance they put on going to Mass, on praying, on things like that, teaching us how to pray the rosary, just different things like, we'd pray the rosary every once in a while when I was younger together as a family. And just, I think they were very big influences on me growing up. I mean, I'd also say Father Mike Van Sloan, he was, he was a pastor at St. Stephen's for a long time, and just really, yeah, just kind of his steady leadership, his, how do you describe it? I don't know, the joy that he had just being there, just he was always there. He was always present. He was, shaking our hands after mass, and different things like that. I think, yeah. So those would be a couple. In college, definitely Father Tim Buren
Great.
was a big influence on me.
And I think Father Tim is very influential in his time in Mankato, because I think you're at least like the third one that I know in recent years to have entered a religious life or priestly formation from Mankato.
Yeah. It has really grown in the last, the whole Newman Center there, everything right now is exploding.
Okay.
Because when I was my junior and senior year, they started fundraising to build a new Newman Center, and then we outgrew the little house that we had. But there was something about that. It was this little house. The chapel was up in the top. They had this kind of like fake wood walls and things like that, and it was kind of intimate. I mean, you could fit maybe 30 people up there if everybody was hip bone to hip bone in the seats in the pews. But yeah, and then out of that, things just started really growing and building, and more people kept getting involved. And yeah, now they built a new Newman Center, and they're almost maxing out that Newman Center also.
Great.
So that's, yeah, Father Tim is now, I don't remember where he is right now. And there's, I'm blanking on the pastor's name down there, but, or the chaplain.
Okay. Now, that campus had Focus Missionaries, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, Focus Missionaries is the Fellowship of Catholic University Students.
Yes.
Right? Say a little bit more about Focus.
Yeah. So Focus is missionaries on a college campus, where they will go to the campus and they lead Bible studies. They work with the students, and they teach the students how to lead Bible studies and kind of these small group setting, and really try to use that small group idea to go out and reach other people on the campus. So one of the things that Focus is really good at is getting out and meeting new people, and really helping the students to have the desire to go out and just meet new people on campus, and continually inviting new people into these Bible studies, and yeah, just helping faith become real, and they have big conferences every winter, actually. So one year they have this like a Sikh conference, which is a little bit more, that's bigger, and that's everybody come in, and so Focus's model is win, build, and send. So win people over, build them up, send them out. And so Sikh, at least I'm not sure if it's kind of, the model is changing a little bit, but Sikh was more of the win people over, build them up. And then SLS, which is their leadership. So it originally was Student Leadership Summit. Now they're inviting a lot of anybody to come in a way. So it's their leadership conference, which is on the other year. So it's Sikh, and then SLS, and then Sikh, and then SLS. And so SLS is more of the build and send. So it's really focusing on, the students will go to these talks and then come back and teach their group what they learned and things like that. So but Focus is, they're missionaries on college campuses.
And so particularly for parents of students in junior high and high school, and then students in junior high and high school and college students, Focus is doing remarkable work among the college students. And so I encourage people that when you're thinking about college, please seek them out and get involved if Focus is on campus that you're looking at. Okay, so
Yeah,
enough
for
of
sure.
free advertising for Focus.
Right.
So I'm sure that your time in formation is more than just sitting in the chapel praying and studying. So what do you do in your free time?
I love to move around. Whether it's going out for a walk or working out in some forms. I I love like human movement and just how, yeah, just working on mobility, on working on moving better and doing things like that. So yeah, some of my free time I'll spend, getting a workout in, doing different things like that, or going for walks, or just, yeah, being outside in the sun. Um, Other things, just hanging out with the guys, just spending time with the brothers in the house, hanging out, whether it's, playing games or watching a movie or, reading, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I also love to read and to learn different things.
Great.
So yeah, lately I've been listening to a lot of things. So we finished the semester Tuesday. Um, yeah, so about a week ago, I was pretty close to done with the semester, and so just, taking a week to just learn some other stuff, and been listening to a lot of kind of these more like sports psychology podcasts and books and things like that. Just looking at kind of how do we become really good at something, right? And then for me, it's thinking about how do we then apply that like to virtue or to living the Christian life. How do we live really well? So yeah, those are some of the things that I like to do outside of just taking theology classes and praying.
Sure. So now you're finishing your 6th year of formation as a Dominican. So what has
Mm-hmm.
been the best part of that formation, and what's been a challenge or two?
I think, yeah, there's so much that has gone on. I think the best part of it has been just the opportunity. We like to think about entering the seminary or joining a religious order as, we like to think about all the things that you have to give up. But I think the best part is the absolute gift that I've been given, right? Like the life, just the ability to be in formation, the ability to take classes, to go to school full time, to be able to pray, just take the time to pray every day, to pray in the chapel with the brothers, to live this life, that just that gift, I think, has been incredible for me, and just all of the opportunity to study and to live and to pray and to just spend. I mean, most people don't get to spend 6-7 years working on human formation and theology and philosophy. Most people don't have that opportunity, and that's, so I think really just, I think that has been the best part in some ways, really just that freedom to study and to learn and to pray and things like that. The biggest challenge, I think, for me was probably more learning how to write papers. In school, I got a degree in mechanical engineering where we never wrote papers. We would maybe write a lab report every once in a while, but it was all, problems. Here's an equation, we're going to solve a problem, and trying to just continually doing that. And so, yeah, getting into having all of my classes, most of my classes have a, 10 to 15 page, 15 to 18, 15 to 20 page paper. That was a challenge. And it still can be a challenge. I like to have a lot of thoughts in my head, but actually getting them down on paper can be difficult sometimes. But yeah, so that I would say that would be one of the bigger challenges. But you start doing that for a few years and become at least for me, I've figured out a way that, what I need to do in order to write a paper and things like that. So you learn different steps. And so now it's Now it's easier, but that was definitely the bigger challenge.
Now, you will be ordained to the diaconate on Saturday, May 16th, and
Yes.
then you'll be assigned to a parish in Madison, Wisconsin, right? For
Yep.
the
Yeah.
summer? Okay, so
Yeah. So
what are you looking forward to doing your deacon ministry?
yeah, I'm not really sure what everything will entail, right? Because one of the bigger things as a deacon is visiting the sick, visiting people and things like that, which I don't know the possibilities of that will be. But being able to assist as a deacon at Mass, being able to preach. So preaching is one of the things I'm really excited for. Here in the house, we'll preach few times a semester. We preach at Vespers, so morning prayer and evening prayer. Or no, evening prayer on Saturday and evening prayer on Sunday. Somebody will preach on the first reading and then on the second reading from Mass that Sunday. But so and preaching in classes and things like that. So we get some practice preaching and a decent amount, but being able to preach more often and preach at Mass in the context of Mass, where the preaching isn't the central focus, where it's actually there's preaching and then you get to the central focus, which is the Eucharist. So kind of being in that context, that's one thing that I'm really interested or really excited for. But just to throw something in here with our preaching that we do on Saturday and Sunday nights, we have a website. It's called friarly.com. So friar, FRIARLY.com. It's like being a friar. And yeah, so we put all of our preaching on there that we do on the weekends. Now we won't have any more for the rest of the summer, but we've also been recording daily homilies here in the house and putting those online. So that's kind of our house website is Friarly. So yeah, but being able to preach, being able to just connect with people on another level, right? Because you have, it's being a student brother, you connect with people and different things, but then being a deacon in the church and being given authority by the church and being, in holy orders and things like that, it gives an opportunity to be more of a sacramental minister, whether maybe it's the chance to do a baptism or a marriage or something like that, or also to just being able to connect with people from as a representation of the church in some ways, in a slightly different capacity than I do already. Because being a solemnly vowed religious, you represent the church. But yeah, I'm excited just to keep doing new things, right? There's a line from Thomas Aquinas. It's to contemplate and share the fruits of contemplation, like as kind of the core of what Dominican life is. And I think that part of preaching, like I think all of preaching really is contemplate, just to pray, to study, to really just dig into this text and to share the fruits. And, just try to love people in a new way, as a deacon, as a cleric.
Great. So who's your favorite saint and why?
I don't want to just take the easy one, but I would say Saint Dominic. Saint Dominic, he was, now like all saints, but he was so authentic, right? So he was exactly what he preached. He lived it, right? And he saw an issue. He saw these Albigensians, these Cathars, and they were, they're living, believing that what isn't correct is correct, kind of a thing. And they're, they were very much against the body, this, the corporal aspect of life, and things like that. And so he saw this need, and he's like, we got to do something about that. We have to, and he just gave his entire being to knowing those people and understanding them, and then helping them to see the truth. And I think he is one of those people that really lived Thomas's, Aquinas's line of to contemplate and to share the fruits of your contemplation. I see him as just a wonderful example of that. Really this deep spiritual, prayerful man, and then going out and engaging people who aren't necessarily the ones that are, coming to mass every week, right? These are the people that are out, actually against the church at this time. He's like, hey, let's talk about it. Let's get to know them, and then try to kind of bring them back to the truth.
Right. A favorite scripture passage?
Yeah, so there are a lot of scripture passages that I love. Whether it's, the Great Commission, the end of Matthew, where Jesus says, go and make disciples of all nations, and he ends with, and I will be with you always. There's one, I actually wrote a paper on it this last semester in the Gospel of John, where Jesus talks about kind of the indwelling in John chapter 14. So I will, I will give the Holy Spirit, or the Paraclete, who will come and he will dwell in you. And then Jesus says, and then I will come and dwell with you. And then he goes, and then I and the Father will come and dwell in you. So kind of talking about the threefold indwelling. But I think for me, my favorite one, the one that has had a good impact on me, I first kind of came to it in college. It's in 1 Corinthians 9, like 24 to 27 or something like that. But Paul is talking to the Corinthians, and he says, do you not know that all the runners in the stadium run the race, but only one wins the prize? Run so as to win. Every athlete exercises discipline in every way, and they do it to win a perishable crown, but we an imperishable one. Thus, I do not run aimlessly. I do not fight as if I were shadowboxing. No, I drive my body and train it, for fear that after having preached to others, I myself might be disqualified. But just Paul, because here I was, freshman in college, I'm playing baseball. I give a lot of time and energy to baseball. At this point, my freshman year is spending, 3-4 hours a day at practice, lifting, whatever it was. And not a whole lot on faith, right? And just hearing Paul saying this, like, do you see how disciplined and how these athletes, they're training, right? They are putting their whole effort into this. They're make sure they eat right, they sleep right, they, do all of this training. And he's like, and what we're doing has such a greater end. Right. So like they're going for the trophy or for being better, whatever it is. But our pursuit is for eternal life. It's for ultimate happiness. And that is such a higher calling. Like, why don't we train for it? Why don't we live? Why don't we organize our entire life toward that goal? And and train for it. And so that's I would say that's one of my favorite Bible verses.
Great. Well, brother, thanks for spending time with us. Any closing thoughts as we close out today?
I would just say the one thing is that I've been so blessed by St. Stephen's, by the priests that have been there, that, all the priests who continue to come, having the younger guys come in and be taught and, kind of learn, and just the people, right? The parishioners who are there every week. I love when I'm back, whether it's in the summer or after Christmas, just seeing seeing people, seeing the parishioners, and it's St. Stephen's has been a wonderful place. It's been I would say just a real blessing in my life, to have a place that is as consistent, that is prayerful, that is, just a solid, just a real solid foundation, that it's fun to come back to. It's fun to come back whenever I'm visiting, and hopefully this summer I will be able to hopefully end of July, beginning of August, I'll be able to get back up there. We'll see with all the quarantine stuff, but hopefully be able to deacon at Mass there, and hopefully in a year be able to celebrate Mass. Like how amazing would that be? To be able to, I've grown up there. I've been, just been in the part of the parish for such a long time, and it's great to see things kind of continuing to come alive, and continuing to the energy to continue to build and things like that. So I really hope that continues as we kind of come out of this stay-at-home order, and there's this desire to get back to Mass, right? Get back to receiving the Eucharist, and know that to all of you, I'm praying for you. And it's been a real tough time. We're hugely blessed here. We have a chapel, and I live with 8 or 9 priests, so we have Mass every day. But most people don't have that, and so that therefore at Mass, we all make sure to pray for you guys.
Well, brother,
yeah, well, thank you
for taking the time today, and know that we are lifting you up in prayer as you get ready for final preparation for ordination on the 16th, and know that we're praying for you here in our house. And thanks for giving God a shot, and letting Him captivate you and capture your heart. And thanks for answering the call to dedicate yourself to the work of the gospel.
You're very welcome. It's a heck of a ride. It's God. God never stops putting fun and exciting things in front of us. So thank you.